All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into HiBruiNation, the unofficial home of your Boston Bruins. I'm Goosey, and joined with me, as always, are my two amazing co-hosts, and Steve the Chavo and Jack Finn, Mr. Hattrick himself. We got a good show for you guys tonight. We're going to talk about Zadorov's leg. In case you guys missed it, he was hit pretty hard into the board by Brandon Gallagher, and like you from Lens needing decision. Geekie back on track. The big bad Bruin, and some additional news. But without further ado, fellas, how are we doing in this snow-ridden winter wonderland?
I won't lie, buddy, you were cutting out a bunch there. So we'll hard restart and keep going. But yeah, I was
sorry about that if I'm trouble lagging.
No, you're good.
Sorry if I'm still lagging. I apologize in depth for that. Yeah,
you're good now, man. But you can't ignore the elephant in the room. The snow is hectic to say the least. I did not join my dad in shoveling today. That was his, go around. Maybe I'll help out at some point. But to be fair, I've got some other stuff I'm working on myself too that needs time and attention. But yeah, we are getting a lot of snow, the most we've gotten so far. So it's gonna be interesting how snowed in we will be. How's it out in Chicago, Mr. Chavo?
Cold, snowy. I just got done shoveling myself. That took forever. Got like 5-6 inches. But it went from like negative temps all week to just barely like 15 degrees today for the snow. And of course, now the temperature's dropping. So whatever isn't really shoveled is just going to turn to a block of ice and make life real fun. Yeah. So it's just great. But not a bad day to be a Boston sports fan. We got the Bruins.
Hell yeah.
Today, and we got the Pats going back to the Super Bowl. We're so back, baby. So we're riding the high, and that's keeping me warm out here.
Peep the jersey, fellas. Peep the jersey. Peep it.
You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. It was tough there for a bit, and honestly, I think the elements helped us out to an extent. And I think that's going to be a narrative some people might say, be like, "Oh, the Patriots, they used the snow to their benefit." But how do you do that? You just
don't care. It's situational football, especially in the elements. Sorry that we did a better job at playing situationally than y'all did, and we had a better defense against a backup quarterback. Whatever. I don't care. Listen. Through my entire existence, everyone has hated Boston sports. I don't care. We're right there with it. It's just we're gonna deal with it forever. And again,
exactly.
Haters gonna hate, and they're gonna say whatever they want, and you don't have to listen to them because screw them.
I can't believe we're back in the Super Bowl.
Me either.
We're back in the Super Bowl before Josh Allen even made one single attempt at it. So there you go. Start the conversation, guys. Start the conversation. Drake May better than Josh Allen. You heard it here on HiBruiNation first. On your local hockey podcast talking about football. That's it.
Oh man. Oh,
and it helps that we have a competent coach that's named Mike Vrabel and not Sean McDermott. So
I was gonna say, yeah, it seems like the handling of Allen and just the Bills isn't to where it should be. So it's interesting to see what coach they get. But enough talk about football.
Yeah. But guys,
back to hockey.
Back to hockey, bitches. Back to hockey. No, you're right, guys. It's not a bad week to be a Boston sports fan. You're right, Steve. Pat's back in the Super Bowl. The Bruins go 2-3, and I would say in a very difficult week. You had Dallas, and Dallas definitely took it to us. You had Vegas again, another game that you could have easily see the Bruins losing. And then you had Montreal. I mean, obviously we had wins in that game, but that was more because always F Montreal. But realistically, like Montreal's a good team. Right. And you gotta put respect on their name, but they managed to go 2-1. So, I mean, that's pretty good. I'm going to give that a solid B+ effort, only a B+, because we got absolutely pummeled by Dallas.
It was hard to watch.
17
went on.
Yeah, only 17 shots on goal to Dallas's 35. I think, what was it, 6-2 was the final score. Couldn't get any sustained offense, nothing like that. But holy smokes, did they have a response against VGK in Montreal. Before we get started in the games, guys, quick note, some important news. Jordan Harris, returning from injury on a conditioning stint down in Providence. And yesterday, being Saturday, because we record this on Sundays, he scored the OT winner in his first game back. So good for Jordan. Good for Jordan.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. He looked really good when he got his chance, and it was tough to see him go out. And he's been nursing that injury for a while. But yeah, glad he's getting a conditioning stint, and he got a nice little OT tuck. And we're going to need him because our defense is hurt, to say the least. Or maybe just soft at times. Maybe Steve can talk more about that. But yeah, our defense needs some work, and they need some reinforcements. So
Yeah.
It's the same revolving door that we've always talked about, but the Bruins are 30-20-2. They're holding on to a wild card spot. The points in the East are still extremely tight. We're going to wrap some of the games in our conversation as we discuss things through. Not really much, in my opinion. I think we need to talk about Dallas. That was a game I think they needed to put in the rear view mirror and move on from. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that, but like watching that was difficult to see.
Yeah, the offense didn't do anything until the last 10 minutes of the game. And we had 4 of our defensemen with a -2. So, yeah. Dallas is just a powerhouse as well. They're a heavy, fast team. They play complete north-south hockey. And they're, as I think some people have said recent years, they're kind of a dark horse, and that might be fading now because they made the conference final very recently, the last few years, but now they just can't get over the hump. But I think they're a team again this year who is going to make a run, and they are deeper than past years. And yeah, I'm excited to see what they do, but they handed it to us. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you said it very well, Jack. They just took it to us, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie. At the end of the second period, I shut it off. I just couldn't watch it anymore. I mean, we had nothing going. And
I may or may not have watched the third period as well. So
yeah, I'm not even gonna lie here. Like, I saw enough through 2 periods to just be like, yeah, you dug yourself into a hole, and there's no way getting out of it just because you scored 2 goals in the third period. In the last 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever it be. Yeah, it doesn't excuse the poor performance that they just took it to you and you were outclassed. I mean, like you said, they're just a complete team, north-south, heavy, fast, and again, they're poised to make another deep run. And that Western Conference is kind of, once you get to the playoffs, obviously the cream rises to the top, but that Western Conference isn't really that good either. So, it's going to see. I'm curious to see how far they go into the playoffs this year, especially when they actually start playing some real competition.
Yeah, the Western Conference, for those of you who don't pay too much attention to it, the point differential between teams is much, much larger, comparatively speaking, to that of the East. So Steve does have a point where the West is more certainly top heavy. I would agree with that. Like, you look at the Colorado Avalanches, the Dallas Stars. Vegas is kind of hot and cold. Though
Wild,
I would say,
man, Wild are tough. Wild are tough.
The Wild are tough, especially with the acquisition of Quinn Hughes. So I'd say like right. I just wonder how that playoff picture really won't change that much. I don't imagine. Maybe one or 2 teams at the most, and I think even that might even be a stretch to change.
It's going to be the wild cards. It's probably going to be the wild cards that change a little bit. And while in the East, it's like the Bruins could climb to second, maybe, but that is if they gain a lot of points and players and teams fall off. But it's mainly going to be the wild cards. I mean, right now, San Jose is in the second wild card. What? So,
I mean, good for them, though. Like, honestly, good for them.
That doesn't surprise me. They're putting it together.
They really are.
they're putting it together and they're playing good hockey as of late. So I mean, if they can still squeak out a playoffs run, that'd be good for that young team, just for development, right? Because you can't really have long, drawn out seasons to the Cup Finals if you don't get that experience first, right? I mean, they're gonna need to know what playoff hockey's like. So for their future, it's looking bright.
I agree. We faced two Western teams this week, and we went 1-1 on them. We got that revenge game on Vegas because I don't know if you guys remember this, but early in the season when we played Vegas, we lost 6-5. I can't remember for the life of me if it was an OT or not, but that was a shootout of a game. You know what I mean? You go back to that and you look at that game and you're like, wow, they were actually in it. Rasmus Andersson did not play in that game against Boston. There was some issues with his visa, but since then he has officially joined the team. So we didn't get to really boo him or do anything with respect to Rasmus, but if we
most
ever
fans wouldn't
see
even
them,
know
like,
if he was on the ice. I'm sorry, but they wouldn't even know that he was playing or not.
You're not wrong.
The hardcores like us or other ones who really pay attention and give a damn, we'd see him be like, oh, screw that guy. But the average fan, they wouldn't even realize he was on the ice. And that just goes to show.
Fair enough. He did score points. That is for Vegas, I believe, his first game there. So that is something of note. And it's just something that I think we all agree and we've talked upon that the Bruins need as an RD2. And if not Anderson, what else is, available? But we go in to TD Garden and the Bruins home record is starting to pick it back up again. And you play Vegas. And I would say you were pretty much in command of that game for the most of it, but it did get scary in the third period, when you look at it, and they came close to tying it on several times. And I thought to myself, like, if Vegas ties this, we're in trouble. Like, you know what I mean? An OT, I think they would have taken it. They just have too much offensive firepower to deal with an OT, especially with that much ice. You know what I mean? If you think about it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's, for lack of a better term, they took the foot off the pedal again, right? Like, you need to keep the foot on the gas for 3 periods. They put two periods together very nicely. Like, those first 2 periods were awesome. They played so well. And then, whatever adjustments Vegas made in that third period, I mean, it clearly was working. But I think that the Bruins definitely took the foot off the gas in that third period. They wanted to coast in, which you can't do with a team like Vegas. I mean, they were lucky enough to pull off the win, right? But it was a good game. But what strikes me as really difficult, like a difficult pill to swallow, is like you took your foot off the gas. You were in control of that game. You need to maintain control of that game. That's just like what I took out of it is, yeah, we were lucky to win that one. I'm glad we won it, but you're controlling the game. Let's control it for 3 periods and make a definite win and making sure it's, very, start to finish complete game.
Yeah, story of the Bruins season so far. They have flashes of real good consistency in closing it out. And then there's a lot of times where they have trouble closing it out and keeping their foot on the pedal and having a complete effort. And I mean, that just goes to see how, the swings they've had in the season so far, like starting the season very hot, then losing, then winning, then losing. It's all about that consistency. And especially a team against Vegas, you cannot let up on the pedal. So, yeah, I'm just happy that they won as well, but it got scary near the end.
Yeah, and I mean, we got to give Boston some credit too, guys. If we think about it, like, since the new year, they've been on a tear. Like, they've definitely improved. And, they took a look at January in January, they took a look at the first few months of the season. They realized, like, this wasn't the best hockey that they've been playing yet. And so I still think that they have ways to go to reach that level. But you have to give them some credit that they are giving a giant push that the players want to push, that they want to be in playoff contention, that they want to be there. And, you even saw that push in the Montreal game, which Montreal was good. And Montembeault was good in that game too. And, the Bruins were down in that game. They go down 1, they tie it, and then they go down another, they tie it. And, the Bruins going into the third period were down 3-2. And they did not have a third period comeback at all this season up until that Montreal game, where I'd argue Montreal kind of gave that to them. You know what I mean? Like Montreal, we talk about like, Boston taking their foot off the gas, guys. Montreal, I think they took their foot off the gas and then they just like the bear woke up, and it all started with, the Gallagher hit on Nikita Zadorov at the end of the second period. And then you saw Boston wake up and see like, no, we're not playing to our game. And the Bruins win that game 4-3 as well. So for your first comeback win of the season.
Yeah, it's very impressive. But yeah, they're a fast team, and they have our number, man. It's a rival. Those games always come with higher intensity, and Montreal controlled the pace of the game for large amounts of the night. They were beating the Bruins to pucks. Sticks were in the right lanes. Bruins couldn't get anything going really. And then some shifts happened, starting with the Gallagher hit, and I think learning a little bit from the Vegas game. Obviously, I mean, they were not in the position to take their foot off the pedal, but just saying they did not do that as in comparison to the Vegas game, and they took the third period everything they had, and so they showed that fight and determination to win, which was great. And Fraser Minton coming up huge once again. I love that guy. He is really developing into a fantastic NHL player, and he's got the clutch, man, ice in his veins sometimes. And that was such like a stoic silly after he just was like this, and then when he was like all business. So love that too.
I mean, for
Thanks,
me,
Toronto.
I don't think.
Thank you.
I don't think the Montreal game was necessarily the Canadians took the foot off the gas, so to say. I mean, the game was competitive, right? I'm looking at the scoring summary right now. Montreal only scored one goal in the first period, 1-0. Second period, it was 2-2. We started making a comeback there, and then third period, we kind of turned it on. And we were getting beat to the puck. Definitely in that first period, we got off to a wrong start. But I think the Bruins started picking up things because I was watching the first two periods, and then I had to do some stuff, but I missed the third period. But of course, as soon as I left and stopped watching, the Bruins start scoring goals and start winning the game, right? So actually it was 3-2, excuse me, at the end of the second period. But they woke up, they started playing, and then the third period, they just took over the game. But it was nice to see Geekie finally, get a multi-point game there for some Genos. But it was like you said, Jack, it's a rivalry game. Those games mean so much more to both franchises, and it's the intensity. So I mean, you gotta wake up and play. And you know what? Bruins have
Montreal.
trouble.
Yeah, Montreal's there first to play. They were there, the ones playing, and then eventually we did respond. And and it was, even though at times, and I think Bruins just got to it by the time the third period came.
And it just seems to me, if your name's not Cole Caulfield, you're not going to score. Just, like, you know what I mean? It's just,
I hate that guy.
I know,
because he's so good. I don't hate it for not liking the guy. He seems great, but stop scoring against the Bruins. That's all I have to say.
It's unbelievable. I mean, he's a very talented player, but it just seems like nobody else could get the job done against.
Yeah.
I believe Swayman was starting in that game, right?
Yeah.
It just seemed like nobody else could do it. And you know what? To be quite fair, his goals were nasty.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Like, nasty.
Yeah. All of them, I would say, are goal scorers' goals. He had an absolute snipe. The reception of the puck in front of the net and the ability to just to quickly flip it over Swayman. And I can't remember the second or the third that he had, but wow, I mean, the good goals. Like, you know what I mean? I as a Bruins fan, I hate Montreal, but I can appreciate the talents in Cole Caulfield. I can appreciate any NHLer that has genuinely good talent, and just more on him, and even more so on Jason Robertson, who I believe also scored a hat trick against us on the Dallas game. Those guys are not on Team USA. Makes you wonder.
I'm with Steve. Just shrug. Again, you want valuable players and guys who will dig in and don't just bring an offensive side like, we're the country with pride and can play in those deep moments. I think both players can. I think they can. And the USA is missing out on their skills. And it's not like those guys are playing the entire game. You have a complete roster. You have guys who will step up in other moments. And then you send out players like that to score nasty goals. And they're not there.
Yep. And it just baffles me how, we're getting onto a side tangent about the USA hockey.
Yeah.
It's just guys that are certified that are game changers, right? Don't you want those guys wearing your country's, jersey out there?
Mm-hmm.
No, you'd rather have JT Miller.
Exactly, right?
Shut up, Cam.
It's just one of those things where, the questionable decisions, and it's like, this is so above my pay grade, right? Where it's just like, what are we doing? We're even at the youth level, right? We're trying to constantly compare and outdo each other with USA Hockey and Hockey Canada. It's just one of those things where it's like some of the decisions that are made are like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Can we, maybe just think a little bit and put a little logic behind us? I don't know. It's just some tough pills to swallow for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. But that was the nice little side tidbit on Team USA and our thoughts and opinions on it. Like we said, guys, it's just giving some credit to the natural goal scoring talent and the high talent that's out there in the league. Obviously, the Dallas game hurt, but yes, in Cole Caulfield, it has been a Bruin killer. You know what I mean? But geez, you're gonna end up missing those guys on Team USA. But at least one of those games we came out on top. You know what I mean? That was good. It was great to see Geekie finally get on the scoreboard. I agree with you, Steve, right there. He was kind of struck with a bit of a cold wave on that. And, just to see him finally break the ice. And by the way, that rocket of his that ended up in the back of the net. Wow.
He was the only one
point to that. They had to find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was the only one that Pasta went there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Pasta went there too. He said, "No, that's a goal, man. That's
pointing. He was pointing.
And
he was pointing.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think it was stuck in the bottom mesh. I think it just fell into
box, that the camera box.
Jeez.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah.
But that's
it's still bottom mesh, but it was right behind the in goal camera thing, that box. Yeah.
Yeah. And if the refs got it wrong, Toronto would have called down to the rink and said, "No, you got to reset the play. That was a good goal. Rewind the clock." Toronto is really good with that. So if it was a good goal, then I had faith in Toronto would make that right call. So there you go. They're always the eyes in the sky there. What concerned me a bit in the Montreal game was the hit to Nikita Zadorov. And I don't know if you saw it, the way his leg bent.
It was ugly. It was ugly.
It didn't look good. He needed to be helped off the ice. And I'm like, great. There goes a penalty killer when he's not in the box. There goes a guy that's been strong on the puck defensively. And I'm like, if he goes down, then my opinion changes on what the Bruins direction needs to be, because you're not going to try and go in the playoffs with Aspero and Lohrei as your other, and Aspero's been good, don't get me wrong, but I just Zadorov, as much as I hate to say that you need him, you kind of do. And so when I saw him go down and I saw the replay and the way his leg bent down, I was like, ugh, that just looks disgusting.
Gave you the squeamies.
Honestly, I don't know why you would say you hate to say that you need him, because when he's not committing penalties, he's a solid defenseman. The only part about his game that drives me absolutely up a wall is the fact that he commits the most penalties in the league.
Yep.
Even if he only took half the penalties that he gets, I would be fine with. He takes a ridiculous amount. You know what I mean? And it hurts the team. How many times have we seen it this season where he gets 2-3 penalties in a fucking game, and it costs the Bruins 2 or 3 goals, and then you dig yourself into a ditch and you can't get out. That's he's more important on the ice than not. I would be hesitant to say that, I hate to say, we need him. We need him. He's a strong body, and he controls the defensive zone. And when he's out there, he's solid.
Yeah, but it's the fact that he gets those penalties that influences your decision and what you think of him. And I think, it's if that was taken away, then it's, you have no denying whatsoever. I mean, that he is needed and important. But the penalties are so much, it overshades it sometimes, and it can change people's thoughts and views of him, But regardless of it, yeah, he's important and we need him.
Yep.
Speaking of the defense, because I did forget to bring this up during our little news special, Yoki Haru and his spouse have welcomed in a baby. So that was the cause, as it turns, of his leave of absence. So congratulations to the Yoki Haru family for welcoming in a baby. So I don't know the gender of the child, but I hope that the baby is happy, healthy, and all the best wishes to Yoki Haru and his family for welcoming in such a blessing on this wonderful earth that we live on. So sorry, just a quick side thing on that. But yeah, back to Zadorov. He came out on the third period. He actually played. Definitely not 100%, and Marco Sturm alluded to that too in the post game presser. But you definitely saw the game start to shift towards Boston after that. You saw them wake up. We always say, don't poke the bear. And it was a good response. You know what I mean? I think the players saw that. They're like, okay, that's a leader in our locker room, despite the penalties he takes. That's a guy that, gets us riled up and ready for the game. We need to respond. And I agree with you both that if he would stop taking so many penalties, he would arguably be one of our better defensemen. You know what I mean? It's just the PIMs that kind of knock him down a peg. But I'd argue that it's not just the penalties he takes sometimes, it's just the timing. And so that's a bit of a concern to me. But still an important guy that if he went down, now maybe the decision you make going into this roster freeze before you hit the Olympics, that's going to impact it, right? You'd have to imagine.
You would need to get another defenseman, without a doubt. You just need someone to fill the spot, and
Well,
going to be a great pick.
You
maybe.
need two.
Yes, yep. Steve, you really ideally need two, but
you already need one. If he goes down, you're gonna need two.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not to, bring down the happiness here. It's just like, who do you think is capable enough to step up to LD2 without Zadorov?
If Harris,
no one currently on my list.
Yeah, I mean, if Harris gets through his conditioning stint, he looks close to what he had shown at the start of the season. He feels good. I guess throw him in, but that's risky.
That's risky.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's so risky. And you could get him even hurt again. Like, he could go out there, take an AHL shift and take a bump or something happens, and then doom, he's might be done for the season.
It's not even just that. It's just the likelihood of that would increase, because if you're a second pairing guy, you're packing on minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's not like you go out there with a third pairing and, you get 10 minutes of ice time, 12, 15, whatever it be. With top two pairings, you're getting 20, 25 minutes of playing time, and it's concerning, that if he goes down, that whole second pairing is gone. Like, we don't have anybody for a second pairing. He is the second pairing,
and your second pairing is already having problems as it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Peak is a good RD3. He's not a good RD2.
No.
And sure. The real issue is if Zadorov went down on your second pair, I would like to see Lindholm and McAvoy, because I think McAvoy plays his best when Lindholm is with him, but that's fine. And it's not like McAvoy isn't playing well, and he's playing very well, I think, as of late. But, it does make you wonder how, what do you replace as a shutdown defenseman? Because that's what Zadorov is. I don't think Aspero isn't there. Maybe he can develop a little bit more into it. He's 26, 27 years old, so there is a possibility where he can kind of become that additional strength. But I see Aspero as more of a two-way guy. And say Yoki Haru comes back and then he takes that right spot. I mean, that's more, again, of an offensive-minded defenseman. So it's like you lose a shutdown guy And those are not easy to replace. You know what I mean? Imagine what the Kings would go through if they lost Drew Doughty. Like, that is a massive loss. You know what I mean? And you know, you see that around the league.
You know what's funny? You bring this up. I was listening to a couple podcasts, and even on NHL Network, they were talking about the games, and you know, right now there's not a lot of good shutdown defensemen in the league, like in the entire league, and those guys are at a premium. And then they were even talking about how good defensemen are a premium in the league now. There's not a lot of good, high quality defensemen anymore, which is just unreal to think about. Because you know, listen, if we've been talking about how the Bruins defense has been struggling for a while, right? Like, what's it going to take to make your team have a solid defensive foundation, right?
You add Dougie Hamilton, right, Steve?
Oh God, we're on this again. Please just shoot me in the face.
I'm kind of alluding to something Cam might want to talk about, but well, one thing
Definitely.
at a time. But
We'll
I mean,
definitely get to Hamilton.
you need more consistent efforts and minutes out of the D, and yeah, you need less penalties from certain players, Zadorov, and you need to play more of a shutdown, powerful play style, which, as Steve, you alluded to, is missing from the league, or something that now is sought after because there's not that many good options. And again, the league is becoming faster, quicker, more skillful. Defensemen are adapting to the game in that sense. But you know, a good shutdown makes the. I was trying to think of a rhyme, I couldn't. But a good shutdown helps keep things solid. So,
well, and you know what makes me sick too? Like you just alluded to it, is like the game is changing. There's more high skill players, but the fact of the matter is, it's like the teams that have won the cup in the past 5-10 years, they all have at least two good shutdown, you know, defense guys. Sorry,
yeah, like big and heavy, and can play quick as well, and maybe have some good offensive flares. Yeah. But like they know how to read the gaps, play the shutdown, and just be big and mean. So,
yeah, and I mean, you guys put it perfectly and alluded to it very perfectly. So, I mean, it's the game's evolving, getting fast. By the way, alluded is the word of the day here.
Today's word of the day is alluded. It's a good one.
Here at HiBruiNation. So, I just had to follow on with the trend. I just couldn't help myself there, fellas. But yeah, the game's getting faster, right? So the defense needs to adapt. And so sometimes that's taking a bit away of the physicality. Like sometimes you just can't take the body on the player because they're too skilled to be able to get around you. And so like missing a guy like Zadorov, like had he not returned, and I don't think he's 100%, so he's probably going to be evaluated. And Marco Sturm did say that he will be traveling to New York with the team for Monday's game. So that's, you know, a positive. So it looks like what could have been a terrible injury was avoided. And that's great, because to my belief, and we're going to talk, and this is going to bleed us into the next topic, and the Bruins needing to make a decision. And had he gone down, I think that would have drastically impacted that decision that they would need to make. The roster, I can't remember off the top of my head when that roster freeze is, but during the roster freeze, you're not allowed to make trades. During the Olympics, it's a complete and total freeze. So players can't come back completely surprised, caught off guard, what have you. Their focus is on the Olympics. Currently, where do you have the Bruins in terms of what decisions Don Sweeney is likely to make? Because I think it's a week away from the roster freeze. And then once we come back, it's only a couple weeks to the trade deadline. So I think you're going to need a strong evaluation at that point. And I think the decision will come after this week. But what do you think Don Sweeney and company are thinking so far for their approach?
Yeah, we've touched upon this a handful. I think 2 weeks ago was kind of one of our big topics of our episode. If they're buyers, sellers, soft buyers, and as it gets closer, that that'll just grow stronger because you need to make a decision. It's hard to get in the mind of Don Sweeney, but I would say, something of soft buyers still, because that helps aid to the fact that, yes, you have parts of your roster that need to be filled, but also you have injuries and you have guys. You guys are distracting me way too much. With your injuries and the pieces you need, it puts you on the soft buyer side. And I think hopefully Don Sweeney reads the field right and sees that moves need to be made and reinforcements might have to be made as well because of injuries. So, I think there's still going to be scouting for someone on the forward side, a scoring winger. But I hope that they look at the defensive side as well, because the issues that they've dealt with and Zadorov dealing with an injury now, you might need some help back there too. Chavo.
I definitely think that Sweeney is looking at soft buying. I think there's pretty outstanding needs of this team, and I think I just briefly want to talk about this subject. I mean, the Eastern Conference is ugly right now, right? With points, It's just ugly. I know. I've been wanting to talk about standings. And I think right now we're about a week and a half away from the Olympics. I think it's a good time. You got Detroit.
Sure.
32-16-5 at leading the Atlantic. Then Tampa Bay 32-14-4. Buffalo 29-17-5. Montreal with 28-17-7. And then you got the Bruins 30-20-2. I think with the position, and then let me back out to get to the playoff, you're still at a wild card 2 spot, right? And as long as we keep kind of maintaining some points and some wins, we're going to be looking at a wild card 1 or 2 spot, right? So going into these things, there's just outstanding needs that we've been talking about, that I think
100%
everybody's been talking about, and that's a scoring winger, and that's a right defenseman too. And then, if Zadorov can't, if he goes out for, he gets on short-term IR, right? Couple weeks out, whatever, that might be okay. As long as you find somebody that's can play on, the second pairing, whether that be through a trade or whatnot, you're still looking at a playoff position right now. So I think as it sits right now, you have to go out and try to make something. It's, you don't want to just be in there for a wild card 2. You need to, you need to make a push. And, we're going back to, end of last season where we're going to be contending for a Stanley Cup final, right? We're going to be contending, so go out there and do something about it. That's if that's what the expectation is from the Jacobs family down to Cam Neely, down to Don Sweeney, stop talking about it and be about it. Go get a left winger. Go get a right defenseman too. You have your top pairing of McAvoy and Lindholm. I think that's a pretty solid pairing. I do. I think that's playoff hockey pairing right there. And then you have Aspero and Peak as a solid, really solid third pairing. The only thing that's missing is the second pairing is just so in need of a right defenseman. And if we can get another scoring winger, I think we can pull out 3 lines of scoring.
Should not touch my mic.
Jack ringing the gong.
I rang the gong there.
I have spoken, the gong.
From the Mandalorian. I have spoken.
Yeah. I have spoken. I agree with you both. I think if all goes accordingly this week and there's no injuries this week and they go into the Olympic break. I mean, I think even during the Olympic break, they're gonna watch it because, like, if Pasternak goes down or if
Please don't. Please don't
any
put that out
other
in the air.
player goes down, like, you know what I mean? They're gonna take a look and they're gonna be like, okay. But barring injuries, yes, I think they're gonna go soft buy. And I think the management, based upon like the bids towards Rasmus Anderson, and the only thing that kind of hindered that was the unwillingness to sign the extension. They're looking at RD2. That it seems like that is their priority. They know that there's struggles defensively. They know it. And so I think that's what Don Sweeney is going to do. I think it'll be addition by subtraction. So you might see one, if not two, of Lorai and Yoki Haru moved. Lorai, I think, definitely. Peak might also be up there, and then Yoki Haru slots into the RD3 slot. So I'd say Lorai, and then either one of Peak or Yoki Haru. And people are leaning towards Andrew Peak, largely because people think he's going to want an extreme pay bump. I don't think it's going to be as large as people are thinking. Maybe $3.5 million.
That's even kind of a push, not gonna lie. No disrespect to him, but he's not worth more than $3 million.
So I'm like, that's not much of a pay bump, and that's only a $750,000 pay bump than we're paying him right now, and I'm kind of okay with that. So I think the RD2, they're gonna soft buy there. Question is the cost, right? And obviously we need a top 6 left winger, or if we could find a way to get a right winger that fits well on the second line. I mean, you might look at that, and that pushes Arvidsson down to the third line, which I think the third line is where you need that scoring winger as well, because Jeannot, Minton, and I think it's Steves at times. It's just not, it's good, but it's just not cutting it. And I'm dangling Marat Husnudinov. I'm dangling Steves, even though they just signed him. By the way, congratulations to Alexander Steves. Very well earned. I'm just dangling names out there and seeing if you can really improve this team, and I mean like really improve it, and that's the piece you move for a guy of, similar age, and you get to save your draft capital, then you as Bruins fans also need to be like, okay, well, you need to make some sacrifices, especially if you want to compete. The Bruins are in a precarious situation, guys, right? Where they have the assets to be able to do what Colorado did, I believe, last year and completely revamp the roster. You know what I mean? They have the capabilities to do that on the fly. And it didn't turn out so well for Colorado last year, but they're a wagon this year. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you need to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, who realistically do we want to keep? Who realistically are we willing to let go of if it means making the team that much better? And so I think that's the stuff they're going to look at. And that's the stuff that leads me to believe that it's going to be a soft buy. I don't think they're going to sell both 2026 first round picks or both 2027 first round picks. I'd imagine they keep at least one of each. And then, you try to just see what you can garner. It sounds like Matthew Potter's name is being tossed out there. And to be honest with you, and like we talked about last week, I'm kind of okay with that, with what's in the pipeline right now. They're looking at Dean Letrino, who's having a great season with BC. You have James Higgins, William Moore. It's just like, if Potter can't crack the roster right now, but you want to stay competitive, he's a guy, unfortunately, you have to dangle there.
Yeah, definitely. And if they do what they should and take your very sound advice, Cam, and I mean that, like that, how you put that was exactly the framework for how they should be approaching. But it's a matter of if they're going to get that done and what the cost is for it. And I hope they do. I hope they get it done. But we'll have to wait and see.
Steve, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it all. I mean, it's just, you got to weigh out the options. You can't sell the farm for a team that's right now in a wild card 2 spot. You know, if this,
But
if
you have
they're-
to make moves though. You have to make moves, and
you,
what
you
this
do.
team has
You have
shown,
to do something. You
you do
can't
have to do
stand
something.
pat. Yeah, you can't stand pat like they usually do. It's just, you know, you gotta make something here, and you gotta. And what concerns me too is, I think Bruins fans are so wrapped up in each season, not the aggregate of time, right? Where I'm okay with selling like a Patra, a Lorai, you know, a Yoki Haru, if it makes that the team much better and even more competitive next year, where you're not fighting for a wild card. 2, you might be fighting for a number 2 or
In your
3
division.
for your division, right?
Yeah.
Like it's. I think this year's kind of a wash, but again, we've talked about this. It's a rebuild year, and the fact that they're competing like this in a rebuild year is it's pretty solid. But you also got to concern yourself for next year, right? You got to think about the next season and the season after that. You know, because again, everybody wants to win a Stanley Cup every year, right? That's the objective of a National Hockey League team,
Right.
right? Like that's the objective: win a Stanley Cup and have continued success, right? So it's sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet and have a bad couple of years and rebuild and build something that, you know, build it from scratch. But again, we've talked about this where we have enough talent on this team with guys like Pasta, with, you know, Geekie, Zaka, you know, McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman, right, when he's playing good, that we should be competitive. So it shouldn't be too much to ask to go out and get what we need, you know?
I agree, and this is going to piss Steve off.
It's okay.
There are rumors.
Dun
And
dun
I don't know, and
dun.
I don't know how substantiated they are.
Dun dun
But
dun.
It is rumored that the Boston Bruins are considering or discussing about bringing Dougie Hamilton back to Boston.
Bum bum bum.
For those of you who do not know, Dougie Hamilton has 3 years left on his $9 million contract. I'm not taking him at $9 million. I'm not opposed entirely to bringing him back, but it goes back to what I said last week about price, contract value, and cost to acquire. But right now, it is reported that Luke Hughes is injured, and so they need Dougie Hamilton. New Jersey's a hot mess, and I wouldn't be surprised if they tear it down again because it's just whatever they're doing is not working.
Yeah, they're hard.
Maybe it's Sheldon Keefe.
They should be.
But everything that guy touches turned to crap. So I know that's going to frustrate Steve, and Steve, I know you do not want him back, but those are some unfortunate rumors. I want to flip before we flip the script and, you know, discuss about the potential of, like, you know, what if we were sellers? I want to touch upon if the Bruins, if these rumors are serious. One, would you want Dougie Hamilton back? So that's question one. And number two, irrespective of whether you want him back or not, say the Bruins acquire him, what, as a Bruins fan, would you like to see as part of that trade deal? It could be in terms of what you're willing to give up. And I want to know if you would have New Jersey retain salary. What does it look like? Two questions.
I will start off. I'll let Steve collect himself a little bit. No, I don't want him back. He had his stint already, and I just don't think he makes this defensive squad that has struggled at times that much better. I just don't know what he really brings to the table. He does bring size and a bigger frame. But I haven't followed up much on his playoff experiences and stuff, so I don't want to go off by saying, oh, he's soft and he doesn't play great playoffs. I think he's put up some decent points and has been a valuable player in the playoffs before, but I don't know how much he really changes this defense from what they are, to what they want to be. I could be completely wrong in that. We would have to wait and see. But no, I don't want him back. But if he was to come to the Bruins, I don't want them to give up many picks. Hopefully, you can't give up. I mean, you might have to give up one of your firsts, but maybe that and Lori.
You just broke Steve.
I know. Listen, I
again, it's a hypothetical package.
It's a hypothetical. Like again, like a pick of some sort. Hopefully not first round. I don't think that guy's worth a first round pick, but a pick of some sort. Mason Lori, Yoki Haru. No, because you can't. I don't want to give up too much defense though. But at the same time, I mean, okay, a pick, Yoki Haru and or Lori, and I don't know, maybe someone from the forwards as well. I don't know, but the package should be something that goes for a player of his caliber and someone who I don't think adds much. I don't know. My thoughts a little over the place. Steve, let's hear it.
No, I don't want him back. I don't. I don't want him back at all. Okay.
We knew that was coming, but
yeah,
let's dive more into it.
He's soft. He's soft. Okay. He's just the softest guy I've ever seen play the game of hockey. And
I just coughed.
The New Jersey Devils are paying $9 million a season for a power play specialist. Think about this. The only time he actually shines is on the power play for $9 million. So you want to just bring back a more expensive Mason Lori? Like it just doesn't work. But I will say this. You can't have your cake and eat it too. We need an RG2, and if he's the best available, then it's just to take a shock onto my head, and I guess we'll have to deal with it.
Cow.
But the problem is, it's like $9 million. If this was going to work out, I'll throw out a scenario: get rid of Lori, toss in Matty P, maybe a Yoki Haru, and 50% retention.
Oh,
yeah, that's a big thing as well. I didn't mention that. Yeah, it has to be retained. It has to be retained.
$9 million. You have to retain.
It has to be retained.
At minimum, 30% retention minimum. But I want to be there at 50%. You can't pay. He's a power play specialist. You can't pay him $9 million. I'm sorry. Like you just can't do it.
Well then,
that is some solid points. Very solid points.
Let's hear your answers, Cam.
Well, I wouldn't hate the idea of bringing Dougie back.
That's not a yes or a no.
I'm going to get there. I don't completely hate it, but what drives me to hate it a bit is because of the way he addressed Boston Bruins fans. And actually, I was discussing this with Kara on the car ride here, and
shout out Kara.
She literally said, like, you can't bring him back. He disgraced the fans, and you don't do that because Boston is ride or die. So fuck that guy. And like, we're driving in the snow, and it was hilarious. Kara. And that's all she had to really say on the matter. And she just goes, "You can't out asshole a asshole. Like, you can't do that." And so, by the way, that is a trademark quote by my girlfriend, so no one can take that. Just saying. For retention, well, actually, I'll finish. Like, my thoughts. I wouldn't hate having him back if it did make us that much better. But I agree with Steve that you do have some concerns with how soft he might be. But maybe he's a good partner for Zadorov, who's more of a stay-at-home defenseman. Maybe he is, when healthy, a decent defenseman. But I just, it's the money that concerns me as well. So I'm teetering on this. But if the money could work, I wouldn't hate it. Which leads me to what the package would look like. I'm agreeing with Steve. Like, you're looking at a Lori, a Matty P, but I think they need right defensemen. So you're probably looking at Yoki Haru over Lorai, Matty P. You're probably looking at a first round pick. You're looking at it because if you're asking them to retain money, that's what unfortunately it's going to have to come to, is that you'll have to offer that, and that's what has me being like, ugh. And I don't think they'll go as far as a 50% retention because they're also a bit strapped for cap. They only have $3 million. So you're basically asking them to retain money while also taking on money. So a third team would have to get involved. Then you have to think about what you're going to pay that third team. And again, this is for, not just this year, it's for next year and the year after that until his contract runs out. So you start to wonder, he's 32. If we were in a better position to make a playoff run, like to make a Stanley Cup run, not a playoff run, I would be more welcoming to it. But right now, as the team stands, no, I don't want him. But ultimately, like if this was any other year and the Bruins were competing, I wouldn't hate it. But I don't think he's the guy you want to really bring back unless the deal is just too good to offer. Like they do, let's say they do retain 50%, or you find New Jersey takes 25%, another team takes 25%, then it's really not that bad. But again, it would have to depend on the package, but you're not getting away from that without offering a first, at least a first round pick plus, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, and that's something Bruins fans are a little hesitant to do for a guy like him. Now, if it was Simon Nemec, I'd be offering more. He's 21. It may not have been working out there, and I wouldn't mind giving up a first round pick for him. And a guy like Yoki Haru or Matty P. I would be looking at something like that, but I don't think New Jersey's going to move on from him. That's the thing. But that's just again all speculation.
Well,
so
to
and again,
to your point, like they'd be stupid to move on from him. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't expect a team to move on from a guy who's talented like that and can play. You know what I mean? Especially if you're trying to build a defensive core for a playoff push and a cup run. But it's just unlikely. And the thing is, I mean, I'll ask you guys this. Do you really think that Dougie effing Hamilton is going to move the needle in the positive direction?
No.
Thank you. Like it doesn't even matter what the cost
unlikely.
is. It doesn't even matter to me with, money retained or anything. I just don't think he's a good defenseman that's going to move the needle up to where it needs to be for this team.
Yeah, and again, valid points. It's just that's just the rumors that are out there. Again, like if it's for $4.5 million though, I don't hate it. But again, it's like, how do you get them to be like, yeah, we'll retain that much, or how do you get New Jersey to retain a portion of his contract, and then how do you get another team to retain a portion of that contract for 2 more years after this year? How do you navigate that? I just think the offer would need to be substantial, and it's not one that I think we would give up right now. So no, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm out on it for that reason alone, just for the package, what it would require. But like Dougie Hamilton himself at that value at 50%, I would not hate. But again, that's man. Let's flip the script real quick and say we talked about how we thought we would be soft buyers. Let's talk about if they would be soft sellers, meaning that they won't make the playoffs. Don Sweeney has made the decision that we're not at the competitive mindset this year. Who stays? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say who stays. Who do you think are the biggest trade targets that the Boston Bruins would be willing to move on from if Don Sweeney elects to be a soft seller? And what would your ideal return be? You don't have to mention like specific names of players you would want, but like your ideal returns. Additions by subtraction can also be acceptable.
Yeah, I think you just look at it in the sense that you wouldn't really make the moves before your trade deadline. You would just be making stuff over the summer. And I think you would still try and deal Lorai, Yoki Haru, Middlestat. That could be a good person to add into a package. And Yeah, those are a few guys that come to mind, and I hope the return is, if we couldn't get it now, if we're not competitive enough, then we'll look at it in the summer. Add to your scoring, bolster your defense a little bit, and I don't know, get the defense to go on a boys trip together and bond more. I don't know, because they need to figure themselves out more and work together in their system. So yeah, that's what I've got so far. I think you would just look towards the summer, shed some of your players that you don't want anymore off the cap, create cap space, and then hopefully use your off season with smartness. That's not a great word to use, and expertise to fill your roster so you can be competitive for next year. So,
Steve, what do you got?
All right, I guess Corrali, Middlestat.
Crowley's a good one too.
Yogiharu, Lorai, and I even hate to say this. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Pavel Zacha.
Bro. Ooh. Okay. Wow. All right.
That better be
one
you better get like a top 5 NHL
Yeah.
player in return for him. He's not a top 5 player, but you include that in your packages and who you're moving, and Pavel Zacha is still an amazing 2-way hockey player. You got to get something good for that.
I think it has to be worth the price of return.
Yeah, that's basically what I was saying in better regard.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I at the end of the day, I think I would hate to see him gone, right? Like I can't even think of it because I think he's that important to what the Bruins are trying to build. But I know a lot of teams out there that are trying to make a Stanley Cup run that need pretty solid 2-way forwards, and he would be a sick addition to several of those teams. But you got to pay out. You got to pay. You got to pay for the privilege of Pavel Zacha. I'm sorry. It's just I'm hesitant that Don Sweeney would do it, which is kind of a good thing, but I'm expecting a big return. Especially for a cup contending team with the picks. Maybe a player or two. You need a return.
I didn't have Zacha on my bingo card, but I have Casey Middlestat, Mason Lohrei, Henry Jokiharju, Andrew Peak, Victor Arvidsson, potentially Matthew Patra, Fabian Lysell, and Jonas Korpisalo. I don't think the Bruins are going to move on from Zacha unless the offer is just too good to pass up. I think when you finally get Higgins, if Higgins signs and he's showing that he's ready for the NHL, Zacha is not going to be a center anymore. He's going to move to the left wing to replace Casey Middlestat. I think you're more likely to see him go. I also have Sean Corrali, Mikey Eyssimont, because I think Kostelic plays better at the center slot. He does great on the fourth line as it is, but I think Kostelic centering that line is better right now than Sean Corrali. Because nothing against Sean Corrali. I love what he's done in Boston. I love him as a player. I just, if you're going into soft sell mode like that is, or if you're going into sell mode, those are the players I'm looking at. The Bruins are going to move, and I think they'll add by subtraction. So I think when you're moving guys like Casey Middlestat and things like that, it'll definitely be to address the holes where you have on the other areas. So if you're going to move Middlestat, it'll likely be for a piece on the defense. And obviously, like when you move Lohrei and Jokiharju, you're probably going to find replacements for them in some capacity. You have Jordan Harris, you have Aspero, who also signed a contract. So you have some pieces that I think you can move around. So I think those are the pieces that get moved. But if the Bruins are remaining competitive, I don't see many of them being moved. I know people on Twitter and Bruins fans everywhere are saying, move Victor Arvidsson. But what people need to realize is that he has a full no move clause. And so if the Bruins, in my opinion, are in contention for a playoff spot and they decide to soft buy, he is not going anywhere. He's not going to waive it because he's not going to risk being moved to a team that isn't in contention. Because remind you, like with full no move clauses, it's completely up to him where he wants to go. So it's just kind of like I see Victor Arvidsson being moved only if the Bruins decide not to make a bid for the playoffs. That's my honest opinion. And people are saying you could get value out of him. Like, while I understand that, you have to understand with no move clauses, if the Bruins are in playoff contention, he's not going anywhere. But if they fall out, I bet you he does get moved and he's willing to waive. Because again, he's 32, 33 years old. So he's going to want to go and compete for a cup while he still can. So that's my thoughts on him. And that's how I'm going to round out that discussion, unless you guys have anything else to say.
He's been lights out, though. I would hate to see him go. Yeah, I would want to be.
He's been good.
Right circumstance. He's been one of the better Bruins as of late. So yeah, I mean,
Agreed.
I want to be smart with him for sure. Yeah, because he wants to contend still. So that has to be at the forefront. But that guy, man, like if he was playing like this the whole season, he'd be a 30-goal scorer. So I'm glad he is showing his flashes now and he is adding his real value and what he can be as a player, because
people forget how speedy he actually is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's speedy, and he's one of the only guys who has speed on this team. And I think that asset is really, it's going to be tough to move, to be honest with you. But I don't even think that the Bruins want to move him, because they know how fast he is and what he can do and how he can probably balance out some of the lines, right? Like that's kind of what you got to think about. It's about balancing the lines.
True that.
Yep. And he's a shoot first mentality too, and that's what I love about him. All right, fellas, why don't we move on to the big bad Bruin of the week? Then we'll get into our predictions, and then we'll close this out. For those of you who are listening for the first time, every week the boys here, we pick who we think is the big bad Bruin, just from our own opinions on who we think deserves that weekly award from HiBruiNation. And for me, this week it is Morgan Geekie, 3 goals, 3 games, 27 goals on the season, 19
28.
points. I'm sorry, 28 goals on the season, 28 goals on the season, 19 points. 19 assists, 47 points in 51 games played. So that is awesome. And it was good to see him get 2 goals against Montreal. So I believe one of them was the game winner. So it was really good to see. And I'm glad to see that he is back on track. So again, and I hope he has room to score 40. That's it. So that's not much really to say. Morgan Geekie, Geek Squad, Geek Up, whatever you got. That's what we're going to do.
Funny enough, Cam, I am right with you. He has been fighting it, and Pasta gave him some good credit after the game. Jesus. Pasta gave him some good credit in the post game that players go through that stretches. He has before too. He has stayed resilient. And again, we're starting to see the Geeks that couldn't not stay hot. He showed up big this week, 3 goals, 28 goals, 2 away from 30. I think he can probably push 40. He needed to pick it up, and he did so. As Cam said, he showed up big this week, as I said too, and just really helped secure that dub against Montreal. That game winner he shot the puck so hard, no one knew where it was. To be fair, it got deflected, so I think everyone assumed it was going out of play or to the boards, and then all of a sudden the puck was gone, so they just didn't know where it was, and it was in the back of the net. So yeah, happy to see he's turning it around. Geek Squad up.
Jack, it's funny you said that, because as soon as that goal went in, my buddy texted me, he goes, I need a miles per hour on that shot. That was probably the hardest shot I've ever seen in the NHL. Oh my God.
It was he has been working on his shot, and it is fast and accurate, and he needs to get more to it, which he is.
Yep. For me, I'm going with Geek Squad myself. That's the horn, baby. Play the horn.
Play the horn.
Yeah.
For one of the rare times this season, Steve actually gives us the horn. Let's go, dude. Let's fucking go. We get it. Geek Squad, baby. Oh man, I love playing this thing. I even love it better when Steve agrees with me. That's like gold.
Would you say black and gold?
It's black and gold,
no.
baby.
Black and yellow.
He's been fighting it, right? He's been on a cold stretch, and it was nice for him to kind of wake up, get back to the player that we're used to seeing as of the past couple seasons, right? And game winner against Montreal, he puts 2 in there for that, and then obviously no Bruin did much against Dallas, but he was alive against Vegas, and he's been battling it, and his hard work is paying off, and I think he deserves it.
He was thankfully one of the only players who scored in Dallas, even though the game was out of reach. At least he got one.
All right, guys, let's move on to the week ahead. We got the New York Rangers on Monday, which for those of you who are listening, that is today. Because
tomorrow
is on Monday. Yeah,
no.
tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow because we're recording right now, which is Sunday, and then when you guys listen to it, it's Monday. It's a whole ordeal. We're crazy right now. We're going crazy. I'm high on some shit. We're at the New York Rangers,
Family show.
Which are bums. New York Rangers are bums, losers, crackheads, all of them. Chris Drury sucks as a GM. Then we're home for Nashville on Tuesday, so it is a back-to-back. Hopefully the Bruins can, do something against them. And then we host the Flyers on Thursday. Those 3 games are all 7 p.m. start times. And then we head down to the Sunshine State in Florida for the Stadium Series on Sunday for the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is a 6:30 p.m. start time. Crazy that is an outdoor game in a hot state. Like it's actually outdoors.
Thank the NHL and Gary Bettman for that.
Honestly, guys, it's kind of effing cool. But like at the same time, that ice ain't melt. That ice might melt. Like, I'm just saying, Florida don't get that cold. But I'm here for it. I can't wait to see what it's going to be. So for me, and this week, I'm going win at New York, win against Nashville, win against the Flyers because they're pretenders. Fuck you, Alex, over at Flyer Gonna Flyer. And I hope you watch that and I hope you hear that. And unfortunately, guys, I'm going to go with a loss to the Stadium Series against Tampa. No other reason. That's just it. Jack, what do you got?
I was waiting for the punchline. Yeah. Bums. Wave the white flag. Chris Drury sucks. JT Miller sucks. New York Rangers poop. That should be a win, but I would not be surprised if it's a loss. But I'm going to go with my gut and determination. That is going to be a nice win. Nashville, I would like to say win, but I'm going to go with a loss. No reason for it. Sometimes those weekday home games aren't always to favor us. And Nashville hasn't been bad this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if Steven Stamkos has a vintage Stamkos game and just drops a hattie on us. I think it'll be a close game. But win against the Flyers, yeah, pretenders. Screw you, Zegras, you baby. But even though he could dangle the lights out of me, but we should have a nice dub against the Flyers. So win, loss, win. And Tampa is just steam rolling the league right now. And they just can't not lose. They have been up there contending, fighting, scratching for a chance at tasting sweet Lord Stanley. And they want it. They want it really badly. And I am very impressed with how
Great phrasing.
Thanks, man. I like to be creative. They
drink out of his cup too. Great phrasing.
Enough out of you. Tampa is really good. They are. I saw some stat about them recently of their point streak or whatever, but they're hot. They're going to stay hot, and I think we are going to suffer a loss at the hands of Tampa Bay and the outdoor warm Florida weather. That's going to be weird. But quick shout out to 2 of my, and actually Cam, back to Cam's men's league teammates, Jake and Sam. They will be going to that game, and sometimes they tune in. We're hoping you have a fun trip, boys. Stay safe, have fun, and we love yous. Shout out to them.
Chavo.
Okay. We're winning we're winning them. All of them. Every single one.
my-
All of them.
What?
Yep.
All
That is
Steve-
unbelievable.
Rangers suck. Okay. They're imploding. Okay. Nashville, pretenders. I don't think they're good. I don't think they're good. I'm sorry. They're not good. Flyers, frauds. Fraud Flyers, as usual. They give all these guys the hope. They give the city of Philadelphia hope, and they just take it away. Like they're frauds. They suck.
Suck it, Alex.
And you know what? Stadium series, I would say that the Bruins were going to lose, but with those highlighter yellow mustard jerseys, Tampa Bay is going to be so blinded. They're not even going to be able to see. Okay. And that's how we're going to pot some goals. And you know what? We need to win. We need to win against a division opponent. You need to take those wins away from these guys. So you need to play hard. So we're winning them all. We're winning them. We're taking points.
Win them all.
Sorry.
Woo! Taking points.
Chavo's going with my prediction, tactic.
We're hoping.
Oh
We're
man.
living on a prayer over here.
That's crazy. All right. Well, no, good picks, guys. All right. Any final thoughts before we close out?
Best of luck to Zadorov. Hope you heal nicely. And once you are back in full swing, stop getting penalties, please. You are an important piece, and we want to love and accept you fully. Just stop getting penalties.
The Russian machine,
And
don't
soft buy properly, please. If you're Sweeney, please just do it. Oh, and I almost just hit my head with the mic. That's funny. That's enough for me.
Steve, any final thoughts?
Geekie better stay hot. I have this kid going for 50 goals this year. Okay. I need the
wow.
50 goals bad. Okay.
He's got 31 games. 31 games to score 22. So hopefully, Steve, you
It
get
could
your
happen.
wish. Wow.
Could happen.
It could happen.
Guys-
If he has a couple games where he pots 2 in there, they could happen.
Fair. Guys, I got nothing much else to say except thank you for all those who listened and stayed on to listen to us. But that's going to do it for this week's episode. Don't forget to go check out our website, don'tpuckwithmedia.com, for all of our blogs, pre-games, game recaps, and much, much more, guys. We have a whole bunch of articles. Connect with us on Twitter, Bluesky, TikTok, YouTube, and through our website for your thoughts to be shared on our episodes. You can even send us a voice memo if you want. Go check out our Twitter and figure out on how to do that. Or you can just message us directly via our website. There is a possibility that you can do that as well. We love hearing from you. Also, don't forget to comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe to us on all of our platforms for more.
We want to hear
more
from
fun
you.
stuff.
Talk to us.
Yeah.
Talk to us.
Talk to
We'll get back to you.
Jack. Talk to Steve. If you want tough love, talk to Steve. Steve gives it. He loves it. He loves doing it. But guys, as always, we love you and we will see you next week.